Viral all over the internet today, people are trying to figure out how hundreds of people were held up at gunpoint by police and wrongly accused of car theft. Many of them locked up in jail, some of them for extended periods of time before proving they never stole a car from Hertz Rental Company. And people are all asking, how could this happen? How could this happen? Has it stopped? Well, let me tell you how it could happen. It happened because of private equity. Let's get into it and let's talk about how it's still happening as recently as last week. Now, if you follow this comment, you're going to find a CBS Morning Special Edition report on how 364 people were wrongly arrested or accused of car theft by Hertz Rental Company over the last couple years, and that Hertz had agreed to settle with some of them about a year ago. The problem is that the arrests did not stop. They did not fix it. The arrests have continued. Now, if you go and you watch the report, you're going to see that one woman lost her real estate license because she had a pending car theft charge and she lost her way to pay for her bills. Another one was a new mom who was out on maternity leave, didn't have the money to pay her bail, and ended up spending 40 days in jail away from her 2-month-old infant and other children. Another man was arrested at gunpoint and taken to jail and ended up having to lose his job it's horrific. Okay, so you can go watch that report. But people are asking, how could this happen? This happened because of private equity. Let's talk about it. Now, Hertz had over-leveraged themselves in the early aughts as we were having the back end of the boom years coming out of the 90s, okay? They had expanded their fleet, they'd expanded their locations, they'd raised all of their royalty fees, and they found themselves in trouble and headed towards bankruptcy. That was at the first point where we had our first 2005 private equity acquisition. Okay, so this is in 2005 when the Financial Times reported that 3 private equity firms had gotten together and purchased the leftovers of Hertz Rental Car for $15 billion, making it one of the largest acquisitions of a rental company ever. This entire thing was funded by Merrill Lynch's private equity firm. Then Hertz went through their second restructuring through private equity in 2012 after the Great Recession. Now, you have to understand why that is a big deal. So every time private equity comes in and buys a company, they're going to demand that you produce more money with less support, less revenues, less employees, less physical locations. And in doing so, what they're going to do is they're going to try to get the company on stable footing, and then they're going to start to stack it with debt. Okay? They're going to add debt to it. And so they're going to borrow money, but they're not going to use that money to improve the company. They're going to use that money and funnel it straight to the investors as a payout in dividends. Now, when they do that, it leaves the company with unsustainable debt interest payments. As those payments stack, anytime that there is a financial downfall or one wrong move, a company can be prone to the need for bankruptcy again. The problem is that the investors have been made whole. They don't bear any risk, and the company is the only thing that actually owes the debt. So even though the investors are putting the debt on the company owes the debt, and the investors are clean. They never bear any risk or liability. So each time a private equity firm comes in, they do this. They strip more resources out of the company. They take more support. They close down more locations. They take away more employee support, more tech support. And that's exactly what's happening here. Okay, they are short on IT staff. They are short on management. They are short on the kinds of people at the corporate office that would help efficiencies manage so that the computer systems would talk to each other. And when a car is checked in, you would see it hadn't been stolen. It would have more people on staff that could then go, hey, we did an inventory of cars. We're missing 7 cars. Can anyone go check that rental paperwork? You would have people that could work between locations and cover these issues. But instead of doing any of that, they have stripped all the resources out that would provide those efficiencies. And so now people are being wrongfully accused of car theft. All of that brings us to the most recent private equity group in 2021, backed by Knightsbridge Private Equity, where they once again came in, bought up the bankruptcy pieces of the last one for pennies on the dollar. The creditors got screwed, and then they stripped out more and they started stacking it with debt, repaid themselves with dividends, and meanwhile, 364 people were wrongfully arrested and thrown in jail. But did it stop there? No. The class action lawsuits were filed. The first $168 million was settled against 364 people. But the arrests continued, and now a new group of 54 people is suing them again. And what is likely to happen? Well, my guess is they're going to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection against the hundreds of millions that this group is seeking. And what's going to happen then is the people that got arrested, spent their time in jail, lost time with their families, lost their jobs, lost their homes as a result of their poor conduct are going to get screwed because bankruptcy is going to keep them from having to pay them and make them whole. When you have a system where people can strip financial stability from companies to give themselves dividends tax-free or at the lowest tax rate available in the United States, while the people that they lay off and the debtors and the creditors and all of the people that were arrested and all of the people that lost their homes are paying their fair share of taxes. While you have a system that does not regulate this type of bad conduct, while you have a system that is incapable of holding the investors that engage in bad lending practices and stacking with debt irresponsibly with any liability, they bear no liability, this is going to continue to happen. Private equity is single-handedly destroying the fabric of our economy and Main Street America, and it is causing people their lives, their livelihoods, their homes, and their futures. I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but all is not lost. We are working on passing legislation that can make a difference. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany. We work together to fight private equity and to save small businesses in our community. We are actively working on passing legislation all across the United States, in states and at the federal level. And if you'd like to join us, you can like, comment, follow, share, repost, or, stick around, because it's going to take all of us. And we are so glad you're here.